Gary Dell'Abate. There's a line stretching way down the block. I have never seen Gordon without it. It's very, wow, a tuxedo for the event.
Say something to Los Angeles. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Is that when I was driving up, I saw the line stretched all the way down the block. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I saw a bit of a line when I walked by, and I was really surprised. I mean, thank you, Los Angeles. Holy.
We love you.
We're on Salad. Holy shit. We love you, baby. It's crazy. It's been a crazy day, starting with you this morning. I haven't had a second of downtime. I've been doing interviews all day. Got back to my hotel like 15 minutes ago. Went to the bathroom and came here.
Wow, obviously number one.
Yeah.
So you were great, by the way, on the show today. It was fun, it was loose, and I feel like you got to tell a little bit. I read the book, obviously. You gave me an advance copy, and you guys are not going to be disappointed because it's a great insight into your life and what it takes to be the producer of that show. I mean, the best show on radio, the Howard Stern Show.
Yeah, it's not a behind-the-scenes stuff, but if you're a fan of the show and you've heard me for a long time, I think you'll enjoy the book. And there is some stuff about how I came to meet Howard, and of course, because everybody wanted it, there's lots of lists in the book.
You really got bruised over that. They really were ragging on you about that this week.
Yeah, give me a lot of crap. But then, of course, there's the full transcript of the Take Me Back tape, which if you buy the audio book, you can get the audio of.
Hello, hello.
You people seem to want to hear me torment myself with the audio. But yeah, no, I had such a great time with you guys this morning.
Well, you were easy. I mean, it was one of those things when you know the subject matter so well. It's like, it was hard for me because I know so much about you, and of course, reading the book, I didn't want to commandeer the interview, but of course, it ends up that way.
Yeah, but it's weird because I watch the show whenever I'm in LA, and it always seems so tight and rigid. And it's so loose. You guys are all walking around.
Yeah.
Steve comes out to get a drink of water. And you're like, I mean, everyone's, it's very loose.
It is. It's a great show. I mean, it's not exactly as loose, and we don't have the freedoms that you guys have, but I certainly talk about Howard enough on our show. Are you guys excited?
Yeah!
I'm excited. I came in and I saw Mark McGrath is here. Came to support me. And the lovely Nancy Sinatra. We actually did an hour together with her and her daughter for for the Sinatra channel, where I talked about all my mom and dad's favorite songs and stuff.
What do you think people will be most surprised about in the book? I mean, there's definitely many chapters on your life, your family, your mom, your brother, and then there's the whole Howard world when that enters. There's Record World.
Yeah, I think probably the thing that people will be most surprised about is what was going on in my house growing up as a kid with my mom and
the instability.
The instability. She's a great person. I mean, I still see my mom every Wednesday for Cupcake Wednesday. I bring her a cupcake, and I see her on the weekends. But it was tough, and in a way, it's sort of interesting because writing the book, and even now in these last couple of weeks talking about doing the press for it, gave me an opportunity to have conversations with my mother that I probably would have never had.
Wow.
And she
read the book already?
Well, she can't really physically read the book because her eyes are bad. Not that she's blind or anything, she just can't see that much. So I've read her portions out of the book.
And, were you nervous about any of that? Because you always end up pissing people off. You don't want to, you don't mean to, but I know.
No, and I was really nervous about it. But I read her a part that I thought that she might get mad at, which involves her beating our neighbor with some shrubbery. And my mother was laughing her ass off. She thought that was the funniest thing in the world. But we ended up having a great conversation, and she said, are you mad at me? And I said, Mom, I was never mad at you because I know it wasn't your fault. And like I said, I don't think I would have ever had an opportunity to have that conversation. Oh, there's Jeff Probst.
Jeff Probst.
How you doing, guys? Good to see you. Another good friend.
A lot of people turned up. Steve Langford, does he follow you?
Steve Langford follows me everywhere.
You're going to the shit.
He's right next to me taking a picture.
Steve Langford has a what now?
Huge penis!
And there's Melrose Larry.
Hey!
Oh, he's a good guy.
Los Angeles loves Howard Stern. Did you think that Howard, when he was here a few months ago, and there was everyone loved him, and he was kind of being praised, and everyone was giving him a little shit, like, oh, now you've gone Hollywood. Is it a surprise to him and to you to come out here and to be received the way you guys are?
It seems like whenever we've come out here, we've always been well received, and I think it's because we don't get a chance to get out here as much as we'd like to. Mm-hmm. Although Jimmy Kimmel didn't throw me a party. He just threw me a baseball.
Bastard!
And you didn't throw him a pitch.
And I didn't throw him a pitch back.
That was fucked up, so that was fucked up.
There's no more pitches ever, just so you know.
I think your kids will be very
Peace and
happy
love,
to hear
peace
that.
and love.
Exactly.
It's more like a throw.
It was more like a throw. This is a tough crowd, but you know what? These guys came out just to see you. You're going to sign every single book.
Every single book, do my best, and do as much as I can. But it is weird seeing my ugly face on a book. Hold it up.
You know what? I'm going to say, the great interview.
Baba Booey!
You look good. And I want to talk to Jeff Probst. Did you get an advance copy?
Love
Because
you,
you are a
man.
super fan. I assume you read it.
Yes, I did, and I was listening to Howard bust on Gary about the list this week, and I actually wrote Gary and said, this is the first time I actually felt like maybe I could understand when fans say Howard doesn't like anyone else to have any success, because I felt like it was a little bit much. I understand why Gary puts the list in. To me, Gary wrote a book about his life.
And he put a soundtrack to his life on the book, in the book.
It's what he's into. I might not put that in my book, but it's not my book. So I'm not dogging it. I'm saying I get why Gary put it in. If you want to know me, Gary, I hosted Rock and Roll Jeopardy. Gary dominated on that show. He's into music.
Well, did you find, too, that once Robin lost it and started laughing and crying so hard she was dying, and Fred chimed in, I thought that maybe it would end, and it just kept going and going, and I was like, holy shit, this isn't going to stop. And it really, it hurt my feelings for you. But, you know, the bottom line is, he said, nobody wants to, if I sit and praise Gary, you know, what kind of a show is that going to be? Howard knows what to do, and he wanted to go the opposite route.
And proof is in the pudding. Number 6 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah! Baba Booey!
We're going to 5.
Now, we talked a little bit about everyone has written a book on The Stern Show.
Everyone but Fred.
Everyone but Fred.
And somebody asked me, I did so many interviews today, and somebody asked me, do you think Fred would ever write a book?
That was me on the morning show.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember where I was. I'm sorry, Joey. I was today.
Baba Booey.
And I don't think Fred would ever write a book.
Yeah.
I don't think. Fred would write a biographical CD of music.
Right.
But I don't see Fred ever writing a book. It's just not his nature. But he was when he found out I had a book deal, he was interested.
I remember you starting to talk about it on the show, and I was like, that's interesting. What prompted you to write the book?
Probably the timing was right. I mean, like I keep telling the story. I was pitching a different kind of book around. There was sort of, you know...
Stop pitching, everyone says.
Exactly. And it was very good to him. And there was like lukewarm interest in it. And then I went to a book agent, and he said, well, you know, here's a book I think people will be interested in. What's your story? And I was like, I don't have a story. And then...
But I've got record lists.
No.
Songs.
When he said, what's your story, I knew exactly what he meant. But I was like, well, I'm not telling that story. So I thought about it. I called him back the next day, and I said, all right, you really want to hear my story? Here's my story. And I told him all stuff about my mother and this and that. And he goes, that's great. That's a book people will be interested in. And I said, yeah, here's the problem. I don't think I want to tell that story. And it was really like, it was a month and a half, or maybe a little bit longer, of talking to my wife and talking to my brother and talking to my mother, and really coming to grips with, do I really want to tell the story? And then can I tell it in a way that doesn't embarrass my mother or embarrass my brother, or doesn't
make them hate you, or
even my wife and my kids, doesn't make them, you know, be embarrassed by anything. My wife made me change one thing in the book, which I think is so funny because it's so stupid.
And it's probably something you never even would have thought she would care
Never
about.
thought it.
What was it?
She was just like, you know, she's like, listen, try to leave the crazy sex stories and the drugs out of the book. So there's a part of the book where I say, my buddy Frank owned a 1969 Pontiac Bonneville that we would always go in and have sex in. And I changed that to hook up in, because she didn't want my kids reading and have sex in the back of a car.
Yeah, I know what it's like to spill too many beans on the Howard Stern show and to come home and wreak the havoc with a hubby. It's not fun, believe me.
I just had a great joke, and I'm not going to tell
please don't. This doesn't involve a gunplay. Yeah, no. Anyway. So Nancy Sinatra is here. Did you say hi to her?
I saw her on the way in, and it's funny because I did this whole interview with her and her daughter Amanda, but I did it via an ISDN line.
So you didn't get to meet her.
So I mean, I've met Nancy a bunch of times, but I haven't seen her recently. But that was interesting too, because, you know, some of the stuff in the book about my mom is my mom suffered from mental illness. But a lot of stuff in the book was that my mom was just Italian. And Italian mothers could be crazy, which is a different kind of crazy.
Right.
And Nancy was saying she sort of identified with some of that that's just the lunacy that sometimes goes on in an Italian family.
I think one of my favorite stories outside of what happened to your mom to get this way, and I won't give too much away, but Gary's mom had a change, and she became very nice and sweet, and you thought, this is the mom I always wanted, but you hated it.
Yeah, no, I miss the mom that